Bridget Bartlett here. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about project management, and I'm going to walk you through basically helping you decide if you want to use a project management software like ClickUp, or if you just want to use your high level account and manage your product projects. So one of the very first projects that every high level reseller is going to have is the onboarding. When you're onboarding new clients, what happens? Whether you're doing this for by yourself, or you have a team member who is helping you, or an entire large team helping you, you need to definitely manage all the steps of that project. So you see here that I'm going to walk you through the steps of how you can set this up inside of High Level. And then I'm going to explain to you a little bit about ClickUp and how all of that works. Okay. Because ClickUp is a very advanced project management system. So if you just need something simple, you don't need to create lists and subtasks and all of those things that full blown project management systems do, then you definitely can use high level. And like I've always said, I have used high level a majority of the time when it comes to my project management, until here recently when I started expanding my team. Okay, so I'm going to show you basically this onboarding series, and I'm also going to share with you all the workflows and everything I'm going to share with you today are already available if you're a member of our program. If you go into your visionary resellers membership area, you'll see the post from today. If you click on project management, you'll see that there is a snapshot here. If you don't know how to import snapshots, or you're confused or whatever, check out the help docs there. There's tons of training. You can also contact support if you don't know how to import a snapshot. Okay, so definitely check that out. This will keep you from having to build all of these automations yourself. Okay, so inside of the account here, you'll see that the very first thing that we want to do is we need to figure out what are going to be the stages. So if we're talking about onboarding, what are the stages of the onboarding? Okay, so we probably have a form that they're going to fill out and give us all the information. So that would be the very first step in the pipeline. Okay, so typically pipelines are based on when you get a cold lead and a warm lead and a hot lead, and or booked appointments and things like that. But you can actually use pipelines for project management as well. Like you can see, I've created this one here. If you don't know how to create pipelines, you can click on pipelines, just go create new pipeline, and you can start adding your stages there. Okay, so I only have one onboarding pipeline here, but you can see the stages are filled out the form, and then we have waiting on a client, in progress. There's a domain error. That's a step that I put in because what I do is request access to the registrar, or I was in that stage that I was doing. And really, that's what I recommend you guys do. If you have client work, you can always just request access to their domain registrar. That's going to save you so much time when it comes to the records and things like that. It's much easier than trying to get the login credentials of a domain registrar, because then you have two-factor authentication and all of that, and it's just a hassle. Okay, so I put that stage in there because if there is an error and it's not connecting, then we're going to move to that stage. You may not have this stage, but again, this is really, you're going to just use the same strategy and process, and you're going to customize this according to whatever your onboarding is. Okay, this is just an example. So we have a stage here, domain error, and then of course complete. Okay, so this is how we know that the onboarding has been complete. This is a really great way of keeping a visual eye on all of your members in the onboarding and what stage that they're in. But you can also trigger automations based on what's happening here. For example, if I had Jane Doe had filled out the form in the onboarding, and let's say that I realized that she didn't fill in something correctly, or we can't access or something, I need to contact Jane Doe and say, hey, we need more information. And then what I can do is just move that card over to waiting on client. Now, if I have this built out, where this is like maybe a typical thing that we have issues with or whatever, maybe I have an automation that is going to automatically trigger when I move this to waiting on client. I could even have an email that goes to her and says, hey, looks like we need more information on this. Okay, so unlimited automations that you can do here, but just to get your mind thinking of how you would do that. And then, of course, in progress, it's nice to know when someone's filled out the form, we could send them an email and say, hey, thank you. We've confirmed that we received your onboarding. We'll let you know if we have any questions. And then, of course, once we start the onboarding, it's nice to let them know, hey, we just started your onboarding. Um, you know, kind of like, hey, stand by because if we do have questions, let us know. And then that way we're letting them know, like, hey, we are actively working on this. So if you see an email or a text from us, then, make sure to respond as soon as possible so that we can get this completed. Okay. And then, of course, like I said, domain error and then complete. So these are the 5 basic stages of the onboarding that we're going to discuss today. Okay, so from the pipeline, what we want to do is go to the automations section here, and you'll see that we have the onboarding stages here. Okay, so remember the very first stage was that first they've made a purchase. Okay, so here's the first stage. They made a purchase somehow. So you want to either you can send them here or you can add a tag to trigger this automation, however you want to. But however you want to send them the instructions, you'll see you'll base that as the trigger. And then it's basically time to complete your onboarding. We're excited to get you set up on your system. Please follow these instructions to give us access to your domain registrar to get you started. So what you want to do is you want to let them know when when they are sending you the invite to their domain registrar. What you want to do is tell them send it where. Okay, they need a name and they need an email address. Now what I did is I set up a totally separate Gmail account for onboarding, and that way I all of the emails and correspondence that goes to that email, it's not cluttering up my inbox and all that. It's a totally separate email address. So you want to put the user there, and you can say like whatever your location name is, and then support at the end, and then your email address. Okay, so the email address that you're going to use here, because they're inviting you to their Cloudflare or Namecheap or GoDaddy. And I've even added, like I said, you guys are getting all of this onboarding and this email and stuff will be in there, but these are help docs from, in this situation, Cloudflare, that tell them how to invite a user to manage their domain. Okay, so whatever their domain registrar is, we're saying click here and then you can get instructions. So they're going to have to put in a name and email address, and that's what they're going to choose. Now, when you receive the invite, if your Cloudflare account is not under that same email address, it's not going to allow you to accept the invite. So that's just something you want to consider. When I got all this set up, I created a Gmail account, like I said, with this that email address. Okay, so that's what you want to put in here. And then I changed all of my Cloudflare, Namecheap, GoDaddy, all of these accounts I changed to this email address. Okay. So this is just going to pull in your location email, but you can put in any email that you want to. Okay. So here are all the instructions, goes right to the help docs there. And then I also have this option here. Reply to this email. Let us know if you want us to send you the records to add yourself. Now, the reason that I added this, and of course, you guys can do whatever you want to, but I just love to tell you from my experience why I do things so that you can decide if it's going to be a good option for you or not. So, used to be, I would say, just invite us to your registrar. Some like Bluehost used to not allow you to invite someone to the registrar. So then people would want to give me their login credentials, which caused an issue with two-factor authentication. Because if you're trying to get this set up and it is, midnight where you are or where they are, then now you have problems, right? Because there's a limited time that you have to get back with that. Also, there are some really wonky domain registrars that are really different and kind of complicated to understand. And so I just started realizing, like, why am I taking an hour to figure out how to add domain records to this wonky registrar? you know that's seriously why I changed this, where I'm saying, look, we're only going to do this for Cloudflare, Namecheap, GoDaddy, Squarespace, and Google domains. Okay. So, of course, if you don't wanna do that, you can make up whatever you want to. But that was my experience, and I just noticed I was spending way too much time with all these, like, off the wall registrars. So I said, "Hey, we're gonna do this, but we're gonna do these here," or you can add them yourself, okay? And some people also another reason that I added this is some people have really advanced systems. They're really advanced users, and they just don't want anybody in there changing records and all of that stuff. So you may wanna leave this option there just for those types of people who would rather just say, hey, I'm totally familiar with all this. We have a tech team or whatever. I would just prefer the records so that we can add them ourselves. So it's good to always have that option. Okay. So, and then we're saying we will update you when this is complete or contact you with questions within the next 24 hours. And then we're signing the location name. Okay. So, however you want to trigger that, that would be like the standard, like instructions, like, hey, let's get your system set up. Okay. So that's stage one. The next stage is if they request the onboarding, right? If they're filling out a form to request the onboarding, then they're going to fill out this form here, and then now we're going to tag them onboarding submitted. I do definitely, you're giving them the instructions. I definitely encourage you to give them a form as well to fill out so that all of the information, like maybe you need their logo or you want their like business address and things like that, that maybe did not get captured in the setup process or the actual purchase process of the account. So you may want them to submit the checkout form and then go to another form where they submit all of that. Okay. So again, you want to think about your onboarding process and all of that starts when they make a purchase. Okay. So they make a purchase. What do you want them to see after that? All right. So if they're filling out a form, we're going to tag them onboarding requested. We could add a note here. I love to add notes. The notes show up in the profile. It makes it really easy. Now, here's where we kind of get into like task management and things like that. Okay. So we can create tasks for users. And this is an important part of project management, not just tracking the different stages like I showed you in the pipeline, but also the ability inside your workflows to add tasks to your different users. So I just added a step here that is add task, and then I can call it whatever I want to, like in this example, onboarding requested. I can put some description in here like onboarding form has been submitted. I can even, if I want to, I could take the contact info. If there's like I have some custom fields here, and I could even start using those custom fields and fill in all the info there. But that would be kind of redundant because when they fill out that form, all of that info and the custom fields goes directly into their profile. So really all we need is just a little note that says onboarding form has been submitted. And then we can click in their profile and see all of the information that we needed from that form. Okay, so I'm going to just add a note there. I'd love to have that. Also, we're adding the task, like I said, to the assigned user and when it's due. Is it going to be due now or in a day or whatever? And then also, we're going to update that opportunity pipeline. Okay, so they filled out the form now. So we're moving them to that stage. And then we can add the opportunity name. I usually like to use like a custom value. So we go to contacts and then put their full name. And then that's what'll show up on the card. We could do a source if we want to and lead value. Now, it is important when you're doing like the onboarding to allow the opportunity to move to previous stages. Okay. Now, I say it's important only really based on your onboarding, right? But sometimes what happens is, let's say that there's a domain error and they're in that stage of the pipeline. And just to remind you, if we're talking about the stages, we have our domain error. Let's say that they get to the domain error stage and they're like, you know what, I just really need a whole brand new domain because like I'm having issues or I can't access this for whatever reason. And then they decide to do a brand new domain. And then what they need to do is fill out that form again. Okay. But if they're like in that other stage, we want them to have the ability to move backwards. Okay. So that's really what that means. So again, it's not that you have to do that, but it is a use case that I have found very helpful to make sure to keep that turned on. Okay. Now, also, we have an email here. So we're saying, hey, thank you for submitting the form. We have, and this actually should not be my name here. I tried to white label this for you guys. So definitely go through and, this is just a training snapshot. This is not something that I sell. I just want you guys to have this with this training so that you have a place to get started. Okay. So we have the confirmation, we're saying, "Hey, we did receive it." Okay, and again, that's important. If you submit a form, you definitely wanna know, like, "Hey, did they get my information?" Especially if you didn't hear something back. Okay, so we have instructions, they requested it. Now, like I said, we have the in progress, so, we can, trigger automations based on that. So what we're gonna do here in this example, it is, in the pipeline, which is onboarding, and the stage in progress. When it moves to that, we're going to add a note and we're just going to say onboarding in progress. That way we know that this is when we started the onboarding. And then we're going to send them an email and say, hey, we just got started. Just know, like, kind of, hey, just heads up, we are working on this. So stand by. And if we have any questions, we're going to contact you right away. This will help you so, so much. I don't know why this is loading, but this will help you so, so much because it will notify them that, hey, you are actively working on it. So it may remind them also that you have questions, or they had a question, or maybe they needed to tell you something, or maybe they need to verify something that they entered is correct. But also, like I said, it does help for them to know, like, okay, I just got this email. They're working on my onboarding. I need to pay attention if I get any emails in the next few minutes, because I certainly don't want my onboarding to be delayed. Okay. So that's the purpose there of that. And you can see from the trigger that is going to be sent just based on the movement of the card. Okay. So I would just go from they submitted the onboarding, move that card to the next stage, and then now it's in progress and it triggers these automations. Okay. So, like, if you are the person moving these cards from stage to stage, that's super simple that you don't have to be adding tags and sending emails. And even if you have an email template you're using, it's still, when you're doing multiple onboardings, it's very, very time consuming if you don't have these things laid out and automated. Okay. So that's what's going to trigger that. Now, let's go into the next stage here. And like onboarding error. Of course, like I said, we move them to that stage. We're going to add a note like onboarding is paused, and then we're going to send them an email and it say, "Hey, we've paused your onboarding because," and then we want to insert a reason in here. Okay, so this is going to be automated based on the card movement. So you guys make sure that you're actually filling these things out before you start using this. Okay. This is just like a template. But you want to have, either you're using automations for whatever reason. Maybe you want to, like, use a custom value here to pre-fill in some info. However you want to structure that, just know that this is going to be sent out when we move someone into that error stage. Okay. So now the next stage here, we have, of course, completed. And this is really important, okay? Because when you complete an onboarding, one, it's going to trigger based on just the movement of the card, right? So when we move them from filled out a form or any of these things into this completed stage, that is what triggers this whole automation. Okay, so we're doing pipeline stage changed, onboarding completed. And the first thing we're going to do is add a tag that says onboarding completed. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is send a review request. So make sure that your reputation management is set up, because we definitely want to start getting those reviews. If you submit an onboarding for your client, that's a great time for you to get reviews from them. Okay. Also, we want to add a note that says onboarding completed. And then we can add or send an email that says, hey, your onboarding is complete. And of course, here in this email, you want to instruct them what to do next. Okay. What do they do with their system? Is there anything that they need to connect, anything they need to fill out? All of these things, how do they get traffic? If you set up a system where they get traffic, you just need to make sure maybe you have like an entire like course that they need to take of like what to do after the onboarding, what to do before the onboarding. You could do both of those, and I actually had that set up previously, but I've since simplified everything. So you definitely could do that. But if you have like a course that you want them to take after their onboarding, you want to make sure whatever they need to know that you are sending it here in this email to them. Okay. Now it's also cool to send a text message and just say, hey, your onboarding is complete. Check your email for further instructions. And then also we want to remove a tag that says onboarding requested, because, now it's going to be replaced with onboarding completed. Okay. So that's what we added up here. All right, guys. So that is the steps there for managing your onboarding if you just want to do that in high level. Now, I talked to you a little bit about the tasks. Okay, so we can go to contacts here and we can go to tasks, and you'll see that all of those tasks that we can build into our workflows, we can also create manual tasks here. So if I wanted to say complete onboarding for Jane Doe or whatever, I could create the task there. Let's just create a sample task here. Complete onboarding. Um, Jane Doe completed, or I'll say need to complete or onboarding due. Okay. Because that would be like a valid task, onboarding due. And then we'll say Jane Doe oops, has requested onboarding. And then we're going to choose an assignee. So if you're only one team member, of course, you don't have to worry about that. You could also choose a contact here. And then also you want to choose a due date. Okay, so this would be if I want to manually add this person here. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm not going to assign anyone and I'm not going to add a contact. I'm just going to say here. Now, if I did need to add a contact, obviously I'd go back here. I'd want to choose, let's see if I have a contact named Jane Doe in here. I don't think I have any contacts in this account, but I could do that. And then it would tie this task to that contact's profile. Okay. Now you'll see here that I do have the ability to sort between contacts, assigned or not, all of the tasks that are assigned to specific team members, and then all the tasks that are pending or completed, and then also the due dates. I can look for ascending or descending. Okay. Now, that is the gist of the high level task manager. Now, if you are, this is really, really great. And honestly, if it's just you, you probably would do great just using this. Now, when it comes to ClickUp, though, okay, so let's go to ClickUp and let's understand a little bit about it so that you know the difference. Okay. With ClickUp, it is a really advanced project management system. And when I say advanced, what I mean is it has the ability not just with high level where we can create tasks and then sort through them, right? With ClickUp, we have the ability to create workspaces and then spaces within those that workspace, and then also create different lists, and then we can create folders of those lists. Okay, so we're talking about multiple layers of creating tasks. Now, you see, we don't have the ability to add any tasks here to folders. Um, Add any subtasks to any task. Like you can see here, if I add a task, let's say that I had a whole list of like every day when I add a YouTube video, I want all of these certain things to take place. And I want this to be a repeated task every single day that gets created. And then I would automatically, I could mark that as complete and then move on. Okay. So it's not really how high level is set up. This is more like what I love it for, honestly. It was like the onboarding issue, tasks inside of my workflows, or like if I have support issues, I can create a task to follow up with someone. Or if someone submits a support request, it will actually create a task so that we can see, hey, this is something that has to be done. So this is great inside of high level for all of this. But if you're bringing on a team and you want to create a lot of automations and a lot of different projects that have like, not just the task, but subtasks and then lists and all of those things, then you need something more advanced like ClickUp. And I'm going to show you just inside of here, just like for example, I have different workspaces here. I have different lists, so I have like a whole a folder here that has all of the different lists that are created for the YouTube videos. So when I click on communities, for example, there will be like a task that's created through automation, and then it will add the task. It will have subtasks. But same thing for like blogs and thumbnails and all of that. We can automatically assign it to users. So you can see, like, if I go now just into this one task here, we have the YouTube thumbnails, and then we can click into each individual subtask here, and then we can create automations based on that. So there's lots of things we can add contacts to comments to different tasks and all of that. So it really makes it much more robust. Okay. So let's talk about the automation part of it. Okay. If you want to create, let's say that you're using like a third party software and you wanted to create these tasks and things like that. If you're using high level, you can use lead connector is what it's called instead of Zapier or, really whatever you're using. So let's look up lead connector. Now, the trigger here, if you wanted your automation to start with lead connector, you have one option, and that is pipeline stage changed. Okay. So if you want this automation to take place, let's say that you are using ClickUp, okay, and you want this when someone has submitted an onboarding form, you've decided, okay, we're using ClickUp, but when this happens inside of high level, I need it to notify my team inside of ClickUp. So what you can do is say pipeline stage change. You want to choose an account. Let's just say I'm going to choose this one and then continue. And then we're going to choose that pipeline that, let's just say it's this, and then move to stage. Let's say this one, and then we're going to continue, and then it's going to test. Let's test the trigger. Now it's pulling in information, and I can choose that information to send wherever I want to. So if I'm using ClickUp, I'm just going to look for ClickUp, and then I can create my folder, list, subtask. I can create a checklist. I can post a task comment. I can create an attachment, track time. I have all of these different options that I can send to ClickUp. Okay, just based on the pipeline changing, the pipeline stage changing. Okay, now if I'm using another automation. Okay. So let's say that I want to go the other way. Maybe I want to send, let's change this. Maybe I'm starting with ClickUp and I want to send it to Lead Connector. So let's say that every time I have a new task created inside of ClickUp, and of course I want to choose my account and all that, and I can even choose my space here. So let's say every time I have a new task inside of this workspace, inside of this space of my workspace, and inside of this folder, okay, I'll just say no folder because this is, just a training here, but you can see how I can get so specific inside of here, going to ClickUp and really fine tune a lot of advanced automations, right? So let's say I'm just going to keep scrolling through down here. Okay, so I have said specifically anytime a new task is created in this workspace, in this space, in this folder, in this list, and this task, I want this to happen inside of Lead Connector, for example. Okay. Now let me show you here. Let's go discard this because I want to show you again the automation that I have for YouTube. And the reason I know you guys who've watched my training every single day, you're probably like, we already know, Bridget, you showed us. But I think since I've explained the difference between high level and ClickUp, it will make sense to you when we add, for example, if I add the new YouTube video in my playlist, right? It's going to click up and it's creating a task to create a blog. It's creating another task to post to communities. Okay. It's creating subtasks to post to YouTube communities, right? So now the subtask is a task inside of here, another subtask for another community inside of here. Okay. So this is how I can automate all of these tasks and subtasks and lists and all of that inside of ClickUp. Now, if I go out of here, let's just do a little thing here. Let's duplicate this. I'm going to duplicate this workflow. Let me see here. Oh, I can duplicate, copy. Why can I not duplicate this workflow? Duplicate, duplicate zap. All right. So I'm going to duplicate this so that I don't mess up my original one. Okay. But if I was going to do this inside of high level, okay, I would add the video here. Okay. And then I would just choose my next step. Instead of having all these ClickUp tasks, I would choose my next step here. And then I would choose lead connector. Oops. I click in the box to type lead connector here. And same thing here. We would just choose here, of course, we have a lot more options since it's not the trigger. But if we're doing project management, really our only option is add a task, right? So here I'm going to add a task. I'm going to choose the account. So let's say this one. and continue. And then now, just like I showed you before, I want to choose an assigned user. I want to give my task a title. So I could say, create a blog, just like I'm doing down here, right? Create a blog, add the description. I can pull all that in from YouTube, just like I'm doing down here. I could add a due date. What I've been doing is using the publish date. Let's just go through this with you. I'll show you. So I'm going to choose my assigned user, which would be me. And then I can create my task. And let's just say if I was going to do the blog one, I would do blog. And then let's go ahead and just add the title there. And then we have the task description. So let's say create a blog for, and then I'm going to put like the title of this YouTube video, and we can even add the description. Let's go ahead and add the video link. We could do all of that there. We also add the publish date, which makes it the time it's due. And we could also add a first name, last name, contact phone number, and so on. Okay, so I'm going to click continue. And of course, I could test the step, and it will create a task for this with all of this information here. Okay, so you could see how cool that is. Even if you're not using ClickUp, you can still manually create all of these tasks. And then when you do that, it's going to show up here inside of HighLevel in your task manager. Okay, so it does make it really helpful to have everything in one spot. But obviously, if you need something more advanced like ClickUp, usually if you have more than one team member, you don't want to maybe give them access to your HighLevel account. Even if you do, you may just need the more advanced automations like I set up there for using ClickUp. Okay, so hopefully this video is kind of help to clear up, should I use HighLevel? Should I use ClickUp? If you guys do decide that you want to use ClickUp, you can click the link in the description, go to myvisionagency.com/ClickUp, and you can create a free forever account there. They have really a super cool free account. Most people, especially if you're like solo or maybe you just have one team member, you may not even need anything more advanced than that. Okay, so again, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you are a member of our program and you want to check out that snapshot, make sure to go to this post there. If you're not a member of our program and you want to join, you can go to myvisionagency.com and check out all the resources. We have a video here to learn more about our program, but you will have the ability to white label our AI ads manager. You can see down here, we have several plans you can choose from. You can choose the starter plan, plus plan, or unlimited. The big difference is the amount of licenses you get for the white label AI ads manager. If you are a HighLevel member already, you can choose to upgrade to SaaS through me. It does not change your sponsor, and then you will receive a free starter plan, or you can sign up for HighLevel if you're not a member, and then you'll receive a free starter plan as well. If you're already on the SaaS plan, you can't upgrade, but you can still sign up with one of our plans here. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Go make your vision a reality. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us for today's training. If you have any questions, you can join us for open office hours starting right now at bridgetbartlett.com. It's free and open to everyone, so